This case with the police officers who were caught on video, with a video that went viral. Do you all understand what that means for the average citizen? It didn't matter if we have a camera or not, because we could catch them on video, we could identify their face, and when we think we have a slam dunk case, it don't matter. That is what this case reveals. A video went viral of some persons, police officers, allegedly caught in the act of extortion. So the public thought, easy peasy lemon squeezy. There is a video. The video was leaked. The video went viral all over the place. But lo and behold, what we see is, and we get to hopefully understand the problems throughout the entire process and why justice can never be served in this country. So we have the police investigating the police. We have the police responsible for mounting a case against the police. So we have the police responsible for showing up to court and putting together a good case and putting together a good prosecution, so they are supposed to, I'm trying to break it down as simply as possible, but you have the police are the ones going to court to say, listen, this is what we found, this is the evidence what we found against our peers. So you see, already that seems a little bit off, right? So the case gets dismissed because whether it is the police didn't show, whether it is a situation where they didn't have the case files, they didn't have evidence, it's just, it was a mess. So, and you have to be fair, right? You have to be fair to the defendants. And these defendants, I'm going to tell you, they have the best attorneys. So we have small fry police officers that claim to be attorneys going up against some of the best criminal attorneys that are available. So that in itself is a mess. But let me go back to it. So now the case is dismissed. And the Police Complaints Authority steps in. So we see big and bold this morning. Police Complaints Authority steps in. Again, that is thing to fool the people who ain't no better. The Police Complaints Authority has zero power. It is no different to the PCA Commission of Inquiry. The guy from England, he could come and he could say all he wants. He could say that there is a case for corporate manslaughter. He could say that they have criminal and charges could be laid. He could say what he wants. All it is hot air. The Police Complaints Authority can do all their investigations, and their investigations could come up and say, listen, we have a clear-cut case. We know they're guilty, but all they can do is talk. All they can do is give advice. Until the Police Complaints Authority has powers of arrest, they are toothless and they are fairly useless. So what is the public supposed to do? Let me tell you all something. We know how to get on our phones. We know how to get on social media. We know how to be keyboard warriors for all manners of nonsense. It is time that we join together and we demand that the politicians, you see why when people ask why I want to get involved in politics, it's simple. Because the politicians, they're the ones that pass laws. And we need laws to prosecute. We need laws to ensure that the justice system works. We need the politicians to go inside of Parliament immediately. And I'm certain that there is the wider society. We have lawyers that will draft the legislation in the morning. So in case Keith Rowley and all of them, in case they think that, it's a process, it's not a process, it's not a lengthy process. I am sure I can find lawyers in the morning who will draft the legislation that is necessary to give the Police Complaints Authority the teeth and the powers that they really need. So when we read headlines like the Police Complaints Authority steps in, it's not stepping in to send a harshly worded letter. It's no different to the UN. You're sending a harshly worded letter. Oh, okay. As I say, it is no different to the PCA Commission of Inquiry, where they could say without a doubt, we find that these people, there's a good case that they will be found guilty of corporate manslaughter. But that's all they could do. All they could do is talk. All they could do is write a letter. I honestly think Trinidad and Tobago, and it's not about me, don't make my video viral. Or they could take the words and do all your own video and make that video viral. Y'all could take my words and do your own post. But what we need is a conversation that forces the powers that be, that forces the politicians to pass a law, to amend the law that is necessary to give the Police Complaints Authority real teeth. It is time our institutions genuinely, really, truly serve us. We cannot have situations where people are caught on camera and then the case collapses because the guard who's supposed to be guarding us, in charge of prosecuting the partner. This is a joke. This is an absolute joke. And when we say Trinidad is not a real place, people say we're not patriotic. But this is a joke. Earl Christopher, we want names, and we want to know that all those police officers who did not show up to court, who didn't have the case file ready, we want their names, we want their faces, and we want them to go on suspension without pay. Something has to be done. Something. Trinidad and Tobago, find your voice. Find your voice for the right thing. Demand that the powers that be give the Police Complaints Authority the powers of arrest. We need to see action right now, Trinidad and Tobago. And it is up to us. It is not up to hoping that these politicians have integrity and do the right thing. It is up to us to force them. That is ours. It's not just voting every 5 years. Our responsibility goes further than that. Our responsibility is to understand that we are the ones with the power. And we must hold those accountable. We must raise our voices in unison. Find the things that not divide us, but the things that we have in common. And right now we can all agree that we have crime in common. And we must join together. If it is just for this fight, join together and demand that the Police Complaints Authority immediately, overnight, in fact, they should call an emergency sitting. They're sitting today in Parliament. But I understand they wouldn't have the legislation with them. Do what needs to be done. Give the Police Complaints Authority the powers of arrest so that when officers do not show up to court, we can bring them before the court. We can do something that really hurts their pocket, that we need consequences. Police officers, rogue police officers, those officers who are guilty of doing their job. Whether it's incompetence, whether it's maliciousness, whatever it is, if you have not done your job, you must face the consequences. And I know that persons are talking about the actual officers who were caught, allegedly in extortion or whatever. But the officers who did not show up to court, who allowed this case to collapse, I think our guns need to be turned towards them. They did not do their job and they must be held accountable. Consequences must be dished out. I don't want to hear the Police Complaints Authority steps in until they actually have real power. Raise your voice, Trinidad and Tobago. We are calling on the Police Complaints Authority to have real teeth. The powers that be, the politicians, must put whatever laws in place is necessary to give the Police Complaints Authority the powers of arrest. I don't want to hear this stepping in with a pen and with just noise. I want to hear that those officers responsible for the collapse of this case, of these 2 cases in 1 week, that they are behind bars, that they are arrested. They themselves must be arrested and go before a court.